Hello. Now, today we are going to cover one of the topics relating to principles and practice of banking. Banking ombudsman is an important link between the bank and the customers. Now, why it was introduced? We should try to understand the background of this. Basically, customers expect good service, and if they have any problems, it should be resolved immediately and satisfactorily. So with this idea in mind, in 1995, the Banking Ombudsman Scheme was introduced by the Reserve Bank of India. Later on, depending on the number of different services which are being offered by the bank, the schemes has been amended periodically. The first amendment was taken way back in 2006, and thereafter again in 2009, and the latest amendment is in 2017. Why and in what way is this going to benefit the customers? First and foremost, prompt and impartial resolution of the complaints is the main motto of the Banking Ombudsman. Second one is no cost to the customers. The customer need not incur any other charges. Suppose that if he goes to the court, he will have to appoint a lawyer, he has to pay fees to the lawyer, he has to pay court fees, but here there is absolutely no cost and the complaint can be resolved. Most importantly, the assessment of the complaint is based on overall fairness, good business practices, and more importantly, the banking law and practice. The Banking Ombudsman also focuses on educating the customers and also educating about the schemes available to all the customers of the bank. Another important feature of this scheme is empowerment of the customers. Now, how they are going to empower the customers, that will be covering up a little later. What are the types of complaints which are handled by the Banking Ombudsman? Basically, all complaints relating to deficiency in services provided by the banks are handled by the Banking Ombudsman. Now, the latest amendment of 2017 by Reserve Bank of India has listed out 24 types of deficiencies, including deficiencies in services in respect of loans and advances, and also relating to electronic banking. Now, it will not be possible to see all the 24 types of deficiencies. The participants are requested to go through the Ombudsman scheme and familiarize themselves with two different types of deficiencies. We'll of course discuss the important ones in the next slides. One is inordinate delay in payment and collection of checks, drafts, bills, etc. Even after bringing it to the notice of the bank, if the collection is delayed for a very, very long time, the customer can approach the Banking Ombudsman. The second deficiency is non-acceptance of small coins and small denomination notes. Well, this type of complaints are many, and somehow the customers are finding it difficult to deposit small denomination notes and coins. So in such a case, the customer can approach the Banking Ombudsman informing that this particular branch is not accepting the notes and coins. There are also cases pertaining to refusal to open deposit accounts. This is also a deficiency in service. If at all you do not want to open any account, you will have to give valid reasons for refusal to open the account. And if you don't give the reasons, the customer is free to approach the Banking Ombudsman. Another type of complaint which the Banking Ombudsman are getting is about levy of charges without any prior notice. Any charges which are to be levied in respect of account operation will have to be notified to the customers first, and banks have been asked to inform the customers what type of charges are being levied on the account for services taken by the customers, either on their website or put out on the notice board in the bank branch, or They can also issue notification through the press. But if this notification is not issued, if the charges are not displayed on the website of the bank, the customer is at a disadvantage and he can definitely approach the banking ombudsman. Non-adherence of RBI instructions regarding credit card, debit card, prepaid card transaction are also included in the type of complaints which can be done. For example, unsolicited calls for add-on cards, insurance for cards, charging annual fees in respect of cards which were issued free for life, and later on if the bank charges, definitely that is a deficiency. Wrong debits, wrong billing, these are also covered in the deficiency of the service. Of late, electronic transactions are on the increase, and any problem related to electronic banking like delay or failure to effect online payment, fund transfer, unauthorized electronic payment or fund transfer, these are also included in the complaints. Take for example, somebody has to pay fees for admission in a college, and if the fund transfer is done not in time and the amount is not paid to the college, the student may not get admission, or alternatively, penalty may have to be paid, in which case there is a loss to the customer. So if such a case is there, he can approach the banking ombudsman saying because of the delay on the part of the bank, he has suffered. There are also cases, particularly from pensioners, for the delay in disbursement of pension. So these cases also can be taken up with the banking ombudsman. There are cases where accounts are closed without due notice to the customer, that we call it as forced closure of deposit accounts without due notice to the customer. Here also, if the bank wants to close the accounts, they will have to give sufficient reasons justifying why they are closing the accounts. If the justification is not given, account is closed without any due notice, then there is definitely, it is called as a deficiency in service. Then one of the important things which has been added in the banking ombudsman scheme now is non-adherence to the provisions of the BCSBI code. BCSBI code is a model code which gives several things which the banker is supposed to do to improve his services and also to satisfy the needs of the customers. If the code is not adhered to, then it is a deficiency and it can be taken up with the banking ombudsman. There are also things which the customer should remember, that what type of complaints are not entertained by the banking ombudsman. First of all, let us try to understand how a person can approach the banking ombudsman. Before approaching the banking ombudsman, a customer has to approach the bank first, give a letter in writing, take acknowledgement, and thereafter wait for a reply or resolution of the complaint. Now the question comes, how long a customer can wait? The scheme provides that the customer should wait for 30 days, and if a reply is not received or a reply given by the bank is not satisfactory, then customer can approach the banking ombudsman. Before that, if the customer approaches, the complaint will not be entertained by the banking ombudsman. The second aspect regarding non-acceptance or not entertaining the complaint by the banking ombudsman is, if the complaint has already been disposed of in a court of law or in a consumer court, such cases will not be handled by the banking ombudsman. Similarly, if the complaint is frivolous or vexatious ones, then such complaints will not be entertained by the banking ombudsman. There are also cases, some of the institutes are not covered. Such cases will not be handled by the banking ombudsman. If you have already referred the matter to banking ombudsman, maybe about 6 months ago or 1 year ago, and it has already been dealt with, you cannot approach the banking ombudsman again on the same complaint or same matter. So such complaints are also not handled by the banking ombudsman. Now let us see how the resolution of complaints take place. First of all, the resolution can happen through an agreement between the complainant and the bank, and ombudsman acts as a medium. So he tries to help the customer as well as the banker to come to some understanding, and by an agreement the complaint can be resolved. Resolution can be with the intervention of the banking ombudsman. How the banking ombudsman intervenes, let us try to understand this also. When a person complains to the banking ombudsman, the banking ombudsman will send a copy to the bank asking for comments of the bank on the complaint from the customer. The banking ombudsman waits for some time and receives the reply from the bank and tries to evolve whether who is right, whether the bank is right or the customer is right. As we have already said that it's an impartial body, he will weigh the consequences, and if the customer has suffered some loss because of the inaction or delayed action by the banker, definitely he deserves some sort of a compensation. So in such a case, banking ombudsman will pass an award, or if the bank is right and if the bank has given a satisfactory reply, the complaint can be rejected only after hearing both the parties. So award may contain a direction to the bank to pay the amount under dispute, and also compensation for any loss suffered by the customer. So once the award is passed, what happens next? Let us try to see that also. And before that, let us see what is the amount of compensation which the banking ombudsman can award. In 2017, the banking ombudsman scheme has been revised, and as per the revised scheme, the ombudsman can pay or issue an order for paying the compensation to the tune of rupees 2 million, or the actual loss suffered, whichever is lower of the amount in dispute. In addition to this, the banking ombudsman can also give an award maximum rupees 0.1 million, that's about a lakh of rupees, taking into account the loss of complainant's time, expenses incurred, harassment, mental agony suffered by the complainant. So this way, the customer gets the compensation for the loss which he has incurred and also the time which he has spent. So adequate compensation one can get, provided there is a justification for that. If one is not satisfied with the award given by the complainant, the banking ombudsman, in such a case, there is a provision for appellate authority. The Deputy Governor of Reserve Bank of India is the appellate authority, and the procedure for making an appeal is, first and foremost, the complainant after receipt of the award, or if the complaint is rejected by the banking ombudsman, within 30 days of receipt of such an award or a letter from the banking ombudsman, he should approach the appellate authority in writing. But if there is a justification, justifiable reasons as to why he could not appeal within 30 days, the appellate authority may give an extension of another 30 days for preferring an appeal. What can be the justification? Suppose that somebody has met with an accident and he is not in a position to make an appeal, or there are any other reasons, health reasons. So in such a case, the Deputy Governor may give an additional 30 days time. Well, this is one side. Suppose that the award given by the banking ombudsman is not acceptable to the bank, can a bank appeal against the order given by the banking ombudsman? Yes, the bank also can appeal to the Deputy Governor of Reserve Bank of India saying that it is not acceptable. But for this, there are conditions attached to it. What are the conditions? The condition is that the appeal should be filed within 30 days from the date on which the bank receives a letter of acceptance of the award by the complainant. So when an award is given, complainant is expected to give a letter of acceptance to the bank. Suppose that the banking ombudsman has given an award asking the bank to pay compensation and also to meet the compensation towards expenses, etc. And if it is not acceptable to the bank will definitely make an appeal before the deputy governor. And this has to be done within 30 days from the date of receipt of the acceptance letter from the complainant. Another condition which is to be satisfied for filing an appeal by the bank is that for going to the deputy governor, previous sanction of the chairman of the bank, in his absence, managing director or the executive director or the chief executive officer or any other officer of the equal rank is a must. Without their approval, the branch manager or a lower authority cannot approach the appellate authority. So once this is done, only thereafter the appeal can be filed before the appellate authority. Thank you very much.